Hello, everyone, and welcome to one of these IACAC presentations. Today, you will be learning about a specific college, but there are tons and tons of these sessions available about specific colleges and general college exploration tips and advice. Definitely recommend you check out iacac.org for the full schedule. Also, just so you know, you are not being recorded, even though this presentation is being recorded. Your camera and your microphone are both off. They cannot see you, but you can see them. So if you do have any questions, make sure you utilize the Q&A button that is available to you. That is how you're going to ask questions. This is being recorded, even though you are not being recorded, and it will be available on the iacac.org website.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started then. Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Porter. I'm an admissions counselor here at Viterbo University. I would like to first and foremost welcome you all to the Viterbo University installment of the Illinois Strive Scan panel presentation. I'm joined today by Assistant Director of Admissions, Caitlin Losey, and current Viterbo student, Jesselyn Wilson. I'll have them introduce themselves now as I pull up our PowerPoint presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin. As Chris said, a little bit about myself. I have been with Viterbo now for a decade. So I started my Viterbo journey back in 2010, worked in our Fine Arts Center for a few years, and moved over to the admissions office in the fall of 2012. I've actually never worked with Illinois students, but I've done a little bit of travel in Illinois and have enjoyed the state, understanding that that's mostly our audience today, though we may have some students from other places as well. So I primarily work with students from Wisconsin and Minnesota for Viterbo. With that, I'll turn over to Jesselyn.
Hi everyone, I'm Jesselyn. I am a proud Illinois native and I am a graduate of North Boone High School in Northern Central Illinois, and I'm a sophomore here at Viterbo studying nutrition and dietetics.
Hey Chris, you're muted.
Of course I was, because why wouldn't I be? Okay, so I forgot to mention in my introduction that I'm actually in charge of overseeing the Illinois area. So any of you who are looking to attend Viterbo University, you and I would be in constant communication. I'll be the one to answer your questions and help you along with our admissions process. So with that, why don't we get into the presentation? I want to have us start off by just taking a look at Viterbo University at a glance here. And so we are a relatively small school. So we have about 2,600 total students, 1,800 of whom are undergraduates. Being a relatively small school, again, we have that average class size we can see here of 16. And so the 11-to-1 student to faculty ratio that you see a couple points down, really those two things kind of come together to help ensure that our students are able to form very strong relationships with their faculty in a very short amount of time. We do have over 40 academic programs, and we'll talk about those a little bit later on in the presentation today. Outside of the academic world, we do have over 80 student organizations and activities that our students like to take part in. And then the final thing that I'll mention that I think is kind of a cool fact about Viterbo is that actually 1/3 of the students who attend Viterbo University participate in athletics, so our varsity athletic teams. We are a very active campus. And so odds are you'll be friends with someone on one of our varsity athletic teams. Before we dive too far into the presentation, I do want to take a minute to give you a brief history lesson on Viterbo University. We were founded in 1890 by the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration, otherwise known as the FSPA. Now, we were named for St. Rose of Viterbo. So St. Rose is the patron saint of the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration. And so what I think is really cool about this story is that, you know, it means that for us as Viterbo University, we were founded by a group of all women in 1890, which means that it was another 30 years before they could vote. And this group of women led us through times in history like World War I, a pandemic, oddly enough, 100 years ago, you know, the Great Depression, World War II, I could go on. So I think it's a really amazing little tidbit of history there, that we were founded by a group of all women who wanted to not only educate themselves, but others as well. And so originally the St. Rose Normal School existed to solely educate teachers. So that was like our only major, was education. And so throughout the years, we have gone from Viterbo College to Viterbo University. That was in 2000. And so today, from our small Franciscan roots, you can see Viterbo has evolved into a comprehensive university with over 40 different programs. Now, for as proud as we are of the history in La Crosse, I would say that we're equally as proud to be located in the beautiful city of La Crosse, Wisconsin. We do have a metro area, so the county of La Crosse, consisting of about 150,000 people. The city of La Crosse itself has about 54,000 people, somewhere in there. We do have a thriving college life in the city of La Crosse. There are actually 3 different institutions of higher education in our city. So UWL, Western Tech, and then of course, Viterbo. That does mean that we have a vibrant downtown area. The city of La Crosse is very used to having college students around. So almost on every block, it seems, there's an amazing coffee shop, great restaurants to go to, and there are plenty of outdoor recreational spots with the Mississippi River and the Bluffs, both being within walking distance of our campus. La Crosse is so cool. We love it here, but don't just take our word for it. We're a little biased. Take a look at that #1 ranked college town in Wisconsin ranking that we earned from AIER. We were also ranked by Outdoor Magazine as the 11th best place to live in the United States. So at this point, I'll actually invite Jesselyn to talk a little bit about, you've lived in La Crosse for a number of years now. What was the move like for you to come from Illinois to La Crosse?
Yeah, so I grew up in rural northern Illinois, so there wasn't really much around me. The closest city is Rockford, which is very metropolitan and not very naturey at all or outdoorsy at all. But then coming to La Crosse, you not only have, like Chris said, all the coffee shops, all the restaurants, farmers markets, just places to enjoy your friends' company and also the vibrant city life. But you also get the bluffs on one side of the city, which are great for hiking. We have various trails and you can go up to overlooks and just look out over the entire city, which is one of my favorite things to do. But you also have the Mississippi River on the other side. So you can go to the beach on the river, you can go to Riverside Park and hammock, just hang out with friends, have picnics, or you can, like one of the pictures has the big blue bridge, you can actually walk across it and walk across the river, which is kind of scary, but kind of fun. So there's always something to do, whether you prefer the downtown scene or whether you enjoy nature more.
Awesome. I would definitely be one who is too scared to walk across that bridge. Not because I don't trust it, but just because that afraid of heights thing. So one thing I also want to talk about before we move on to talking about things like academics would be the Viterbo Values. And so really Viterbo wouldn't be the institution that it is without these core values guiding us in our everyday life, our academics, our athletic events, our career, our volunteer opportunities, things like that. And so those 5 core values you can see there: contemplation, hospitality, integrity, stewardship, and service, are really kind of the lifeline for what it means to be a student at Viterbo. And so, one of the most popular events that I can mention that I think has directly to do with these values would be our service Saturdays. And so service Saturdays happen once a month here. We begin the day with prayer. So everyone kind of comes together. We have a prayer before we all head out and kind of disperse across the La Crosse community to about 20 to 30 different locations. And so there's various service projects that our students, faculty, and staff will all help out and take part in. Jesselyn, I know you went to the service Saturday just this past weekend. How did that go for you?
Yeah, so service Saturdays are looking a little bit different right now in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. But basically what me and my roommates did is we got a bunch of knitted squares to make a quilt. So we're currently still in the process. We didn't finish it all on Saturday, but we're in the process of making a blanket. And there are also lots of other groups of people doing the same thing, and those will be donated to one of the local hospitals.
Awesome. And so then at the end, of course, in normal years with service Saturdays, pre-pandemic, everyone would actually come together after their big service project. We'd come together, we would kind of do a big debrief, talk about the projects that we took part in, the people that we got to meet. And then of course there's free food for everyone as well. So if doing a good deed isn't enough for you. At least there's free food too, which is pretty nice. So now we can talk a little bit about the academics and that academic world here at Viterbo. So we do have 7 different areas of interest at Viterbo University. And so one thing that I think is really cool here is that we have all of our majors. We have over 40 programs, like I mentioned, but they can all be boiled down into these different 7 areas of interest. And so for you as high school students, when you and I speak in more of a one-on-one setting in the future, we can discuss the majors that are contained within these 7 areas of interest, okay? And so I want you to rest assured that no matter what you end up choosing to study, your program is going to be grounded in the liberal arts, and it's going to feature a professional focus as well. Here's a list of all of the academic majors that we have, like I said, over 40, and so I'm not going to waste your time and read all of them off to you. Some of the more popular ones that we have would include our nursing degree. We have both a direct and holistic admissions process. Pre-health professions is always a popular one too, so things like pre-dentistry, pre-med, pre-physical therapy, those sorts of things. Music theater is also a popular one too. Fun fact, we actually have a top 30 music theater program in the country. So all of the Viterbo sponsored productions are amazing. We recruit a lot of kids from across the country. So really strong program there. Some other popular majors would include things like business, health and human behavior, as well as education. In addition to having a lot of really strong academic programs, Viterbo is also really proud of all of the really strong hands-on and high impact practices that we can provide for our students. So these high impact practices could be things such as paid internships, which there's opportunities for everyone to have one. We have research opportunities with faculty members. We have service learning experiences. And so we have a ton of really great stories that are coming out of here. Taylor, of course, being the first one I'll talk about. She's pictured on the one that's on top here. So Taylor was amazing. She actually did her internship with HR at Gunderson Health System, which is located in the city of La Crosse. And that internship directly led to her actually being hired full-time by Gunderson Health System. So it's always nice to hear those stories about how internships turn into jobs after you graduate. The other one that I'll talk about, the picture that you see on the bottom there, is of Dr. Ward and a student who were doing a collaborative research project on burnt blood for the CSI. So kind of a cool one there. They got to work with the La Crosse Fire Department to collect data, samples, things like that. So a couple really cool opportunities there. Jessalyn, I know you've had a couple opportunities here, or I know at least one that you want to talk about. Do you want to kind of describe to us what you did?
Yeah, so as a sophomore, I haven't gotten to my nutrition and dietetics internship yet. That'll come in a few years before I graduate. But something fun that I did this past semester and over the summer and into the fall was, as a member of the honors program, you'll have the opportunity to take part in the honors, the Exploring Leadership program. And through that, you get sessions with faculty, community leaders, and they'll just kind of teach you how to be a good leader, how to manage a group. And then you'll train all summer, or all semester, and then all summer, and then it will culminate in you planning and facilitating the freshman honors retreat. So that was a really great experience for me to work with my peers and really learn how to plan an event like that, and how to make it as enriching and as personally, how we can have a lot of personal development in the time of a pandemic especially was another added layer to that. So that was just one of many high impact practices that we have on campus, and one of the many opportunities you'll have to build your own personal leadership skills.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. The last slide that I will have today with you, at least before Caitlin takes over, is this one here. So talking about different internships and fieldwork opportunities that we have. So the ones that you're seeing all on the left here, these would include different internships and things that we have in the city of La Crosse. So you can see here we have Festival Foods, Gunderson Health System. The Mayo Clinic is a really popular spot for all of our nursing and pre-health majors. It's located just across the street from our campus. So a lot of students really enjoy only having to walk about 5 minutes to get to things like clinicals or internships within their related field. And so one thing that I want to mention real quick, I'm going to go back to this slide real quick because I almost forgot to mention that all of these different experiences that Jessalyn, Taylor, all of these different people have had culminate in this statistic here that I almost forgot to mention, which I think is really important. This 100% placement within 6 months of graduation is extremely important to our students. This means that within 6 months of graduating, our previous class of 2020, 100% of them had a job within their field 6 months after they graduated. Now, of course, not everybody goes to the workforce right after they graduate, right? Many students like to go to grad school afterwards. One thing that I think is important to mention too is that 95% of those who went on to grad school got into the school of their choice, their top choice. So whether, again, you decide to go into the workforce or go on to grad school, with Viterbo University, the odds of you getting into the place where you want and need to be is extremely strong. So I'm sorry for interrupting this last slide here. We've talked about Festival, Gunderson, MAYO. I'm a huge fan of Lacrosse Loggers baseball, so I like to give them a shout out in these. I love going to the games, so it would be great to see you there working your internship. Of course, Quick Trip also has their national headquarters in the city of La Crosse, so there's opportunities there as well. And so going outside of the regional areas, we can talk about internships that folks have had across the country and even around the world. You can see we've had students do the Disney internship program, working with USA Olympics. We've had students travel to Shanghai for their internships. So whether it's in La Crosse, in the United States, or around the world, you're going to get an amazing opportunity here to showcase your skills and your knowledge, not just in the classroom, but making a difference at different companies, different places around the city, state, country, world, you name it. So with that, I'm going to actually hand things over here to Caitlin Losey, our Assistant Director of Admissions. And so she's going to talk to you about student organizations, scholarship opportunities, tuition, things like that. So Caitlin, take it away.
Cool. Thanks so much, Chris. So Chris talked a little bit about what makes Viterbo different or unique. And I think, certainly that would be that Franciscan history, certainly those core values, obviously some of the programs that we have here on campus. Oftentimes you're going to narrow down your list based on what a school offers in terms of program, right? Because if you want to be a nurse and the school doesn't have nursing, then they're probably not making that short list. So obviously academics are a key kind of influencer in who will and will not make your list. But I do want you to also consider ways that you can get involved outside of the classroom on the campuses that you're looking at as well, because you've probably heard maybe your parents or grandparents, aunts, uncles, somebody along the line, I bet you've heard, these will be the best 4 years of your life. When someone's referring to college. And certainly it's that classroom experience that's going to help with that, but also everything you can do outside of the classroom. So at Viterbo, one of the things that I love about our institution is that we are that smaller, more tight-knit community where people, they know your name and your face and maybe where you're from, but also we're in no way limited on the opportunities that we have for our students, even though we are kind of smaller in size. So perhaps small and mighty would be a good descriptor for Viterbo. But we have 80+ student activities and organizations. When I talk about student activities and organizations, there's a wide range. So they could be kind of linked to a particular major. Perhaps, you're a nursing student, so you want to join the Viterbo Student Nurses Association, or you join the DNA Club as a science major, or the Education Club. Jesslyn participates in the Student Dietetics Association, so I'll let her talk a little bit about that and anything else, Jesslyn, that you would like to tell us that you're involved in here on campus. Honors program, you give a little shout out for too.
Yeah, so like Caitlin said, I am part of the Student Dietetics Association, and it's linked with my major, so it gives me the opportunity to get very close with all the students in my program and also the faculty, and also just start practicing a lot of practical dietetics and food service management work. So a few things that we do are we put on a spaghetti dinner, or this year it's going to be a chili dinner. We bake treats for Valentine's Day. We bake apple pies and pumpkin bread for Thanksgiving, and we use that to fundraise for us students to be able to get to go to various conventions. So that's what the Student Dietetics Association is about. We also have the honors program, which anyone is eligible to join if you meet the requirements and then apply for it, which is just super enriching and helps you develop yourself in many different ways. I am on the varsity dance team. What else do I do? Quite a bit, right?
You're a tour guide.
Yeah, I'm a tour guide on campus. I've gotten to be a tutor for a chemistry class, and so that's also available to any students to become a tutor. I work with the marketing team and the social media team, and I'm sure there are things I'm forgetting because on such a small campus, you get the opportunity to be involved in whatever you want. There's really no limit, and I think that's one of another great benefit to Viterbo.
Yeah, it's certainly something that I love. The students that I've gotten to know over the last 10 years that I've been here are just involved in so many different ways. And there's no reason that you can't be an athlete who's also in the concert choir. I had a baseball recruit, he's actually from Illinois, several years ago now, who also did our Platinum Edition show choir, in addition to being on the varsity baseball team. So there are certainly no limits in how you can get involved. Chris, with that, I'll have you go a slide forward, please. So Jessalyn mentioned that she's on the varsity dance team, and actually that's a really cool story, because one of the things that I like to tell students is if there is something that you're really passionate about, that you're interested in, and it doesn't exist at Viterbo, there is nothing stopping you from starting that. So you've just got to find some other students that might be interested in the same thing that you're interested in. Our dance team, and Jessalyn, I don't know if you even know this, but it was started in my time here. So in the last 10 years, it started as a student organization with 2 students from Hastings, Minnesota, who were dancers in their previous life before coming to Viterbo and wanted to continue that. And they were a club organization for years. And just a few years ago now, I don't even know if this is the 2nd or the 3rd season now, I've lost track, the 3rd, but now they're a varsity athletic sport. So we've had other organizations started that way too. So if there's something you're interested in and we don't have it, start it. There's nothing stopping you from doing that here on our campus. Additionally, so now the dance team is a varsity sport, and you can see here on your screen that we do have a number of other varsity athletics here on campus, both men's and women's teams. And, you know, if you're interested in playing athletics, I generally advise students, you know what, sophomore, junior year, senior year is not too late though to put forward your interest. Just reach out to our coaching staff. There are these nifty recruit me forms. If you go to viterboathletics.com and you're going to click a recruit me link, you can actually fill out that form with your statistics and all that sports stuff that I in no way understand, but the coaches will. And certainly, you know, kind of, you know, raise your hand and say, hey, I want to have a conversation about this. Viterbo is NAIA affiliated rather than NCAA Division 1, 2, 3. So if we were a Division 3 school, which we would likely be as an NCAA institution, we would not have scholarship funding. So what I find most students are interested in when we talk about NAIA athletics is it does give Viterbo the ability to provide athletic funding in the form of scholarships to our students. So again, if you're interested, certainly you can reach out to Chris first off, and he can be that link to the athletic coaching staff, or I can, or anyone in the admissions office. But you can also fill out that recruit me form on the website. Jessalyn, is it difficult at all to balance varsity athletics, you know, with your schoolwork and your major as a nutrition student?
Not at all, honestly. I've never had any problem with, you know, our practices are generally 2 hours long every day. And then in preseason, we have workouts, and on the weekends, we travel to competitions, but there's always time to get done, and there's always time to finish what your priorities are. So it's just a matter of time management and prioritizing.
Perfect. Thank you. I know, I don't know if I've seen an updated statistic this year yet, just too early in the year, but our varsity athletic teams, it was an average GPA of 3.6 across the teams last year. So our varsity athletes do very, very well in the classroom as well. Chris, I'll have you go forward a slide. So I love talking about costs and how can we make this work for you, because if up until this point you're thinking that Viterbo might sound like it's a good fit and you know you want to take a closer look at this, then I don't want costs to be a deterrent. It's really difficult for any of us in the admissions office to give you a, hey, this is what it's going to cost for you, until we explore a little bit. And what that exploration is going to include would be you first off applying for admission to Viterbo and then filing the free application for federal student aid. So what you're looking at on your screen right now, this is what we would call our sticker price. And the sticker price is not the price that you are going to pay when you come to Viterbo. So as you're looking at schools, whether it's Viterbo or somewhere else, don't let that initial cost kind of scare you away from digging a little bit deeper, because you know what? These next 4 years are an investment in yourself and an investment in your future career. And so certainly give yourself the bandwidth to explore all of the opportunities that are interesting to you as far as you possibly can, because you might be surprised in the end that perhaps it's not as expensive as you think it might be. So tuition fees at Viterbo for 2020-21 would be that $29,350 that you're seeing. A note about room and board is that room and board is going to be pretty stagnant across all of the institutions that you're looking at. So whether you're looking at other private schools like Viterbo, perhaps public in-state options in Illinois, or options, you know, across the country, that room and board cost is usually pretty darn close to the same across those institutions. What's different is that tuition and fee cost. So that sticker price, again, just a sticker price, is that $39,020 that you're seeing there. But through filing the FAFSA and receiving both need-based and merit-based aid, as well as scholarships, we can significantly cut into that cost. So Chris, I'm gonna have you go forward a slide for me. Hopefully this number looks a little bit more friendly than that initial 39,000. So this is just an example. It's kind of the average package for our students for 2019-2020. So you can get an idea of what an aid package might look like. So the average student at Viterbo received $16,700 in gift aid. And you might be going, what on earth is gift aid? Gift aid is the good stuff that you're not going to need to pay back when you're done with college. So that's you know, going to consist of grant opportunities. It's going to consist of scholarship opportunities. At Viterbo, we do give merit scholarships, which I'll talk about here in just a moment. But the average student brought in $16,700 in gift aid, which is going to arrive, you know, there at that net price of that $22,000. But then there are other ways from there that you can help cover that cost as well. So you might be offered a work study option. Work study, if you're not sure what that is, allows you to get a job here on campus with us, usually a little more flexible than trying to find work off campus perhaps. And right now the average work study award, I think this year it was actually $3,168, if you can't tell how many aid offers I've looked at in the last year. But that allows you to work here on campus and put that money back towards tuition or other living expenses. So you'll see there on the bottom that out-of-pocket cost, that's what you're going to want to focus a little bit more on and how you're going to cover. So when I talk about covering the cost of college, I like to you know, have students think about, okay, so how can you cover this cost? You can cover this cost with your savings. So we'll call that past earnings. So perhaps anything that you're bringing with you to college in the form of a college fund, or if you've worked through high school or things like that and put money away, excuse me. Current funding. So if you're going to work a job while you're in college, perhaps it's work study, perhaps it's, you know, working as a CNA or a dietary aide if you're a dietetic student or something like that, that might tie in with your major, or just working at, you know, locally, Festival of Foods here in town actually provides a scholarship fund for students where you can put money into that fund and they'll match it. When I was in school, it was up to $4,000, but I've heard recently they've actually even removed that. So there are creative ways to make you know, some extra change while you're here in school. So you can use your past savings, you can use what you're currently making while you're here. And then also there is this future saving or future earnings pot that you can pull money out of. And that would be essentially those federal student loans. So what you're seeing here, the $5,500, every student is going to be eligible for what is called a direct unsubsidized loan. Unsubsidized means it does accrue interest while you're here in school with us or at XYZ school that you attend. So maybe a little life hack is if you have some extra money to throw at that interest while you're in school, you can actually significantly impact the student loan debt you'll leave with, which is something that I wish I would have known when I was 20 years old and in college. So you'll have those student loan options, and that's essentially borrowing against your future. So that's why it's really important when Chris says that students at Viterbo enjoy 100% placement rate, because 100% placement rate means you're going to have the ability to pay back any of those loans that you might have needed to take out to invest in yourself and invest in your future over these next 4 years. Chris, I'm gonna have you go forward a slide. First cost cutter at Viterbo would be our academic merit scholarship. So every student who applies to Viterbo, doesn't matter if you're from Wisconsin, Illinois, or you know, Japan, doesn't matter, you're gonna get some sort of merit scholarship here at Viterbo. And that's based on what you have previously done. So it's based on everything that you've done up until this point, the good work you've done in high school. Right now, these are going to either be based off of, and I say either, that's important, your cumulative GPA from high school, or your cumulative GPA from high school plus an SAT and ACT test score. So traditionally, Viterbo has required either an ACT or SAT test score. At this point, we are test optional for fall 2021 and 2022, and I'll talk a little bit more about that momentarily. But you will receive a merit scholarship regardless of whether or not you have test scores to send our way. So that presidential scholarship at $15,000 per year is our highest right now, the $10,000 Access Award. So you're going to have between $10,000 and $15,000 immediately upon admission to Viterbo. And again, this is all based on what you've done previous to coming to us. Another thing that's fantastic, Chris, I'll have you go forward a slide, is that any of our scholarships, whether they be merit scholarships, or I would say 98% of our other scholarships, are renewable. So what is renewable? Renewable would be scholarships that you can count on every year that you're here at Viterbo, rather than a one-time scholarship that you see your freshman year that then no longer exists your sophomore year. There is nothing wrong with a non-renewable scholarship. You should apply for every scholarship that you can possibly find and are eligible for, absolutely. Even those $250 scholarships can buy a couple of books. So make sure that you're also putting in the work outside of the schools that you're applying to apply for scholarships as well. But at Viterbo, for the most part, you're going to be able to count on our scholarships being renewable. So if you get that $15,000 per year merit scholarship, you're going to have that $15,000 per year merit scholarship every year that you're here with us. What you're looking at now is a list of our other scholarships that are available for incoming freshman students. So when you think about kind of your hierarchy of your senior year, once you've applied for admission at a variety of schools, then you're going to file the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. And that FAFSA is going to open up the opportunity for you to receive need-based aid, so based on your family's income situation. But then in addition to that, you're going to want to fill out scholarship applications. So October 1st is when that FAFSA opens. And at Viterbo, that's also a really, really important date because that's the date that our scholarship application opens. So the good news, and Jesselyn, you went through this process in applying for scholarships, is that we have one form. So you fill out one form, give us a couple of letters of recommendation, a personal statement, and we're going to look at everything that you're eligible for on our end. So if you are a nursing major, then you might be eligible for our Nightingale Nursing Scholarship. If you are a health science student, you might be eligible for our health science scholarship. So those are two big scholarship competitions here at Viterbo. The health science scholarship competition actually nets full tuition at the top spot. And the Nightingale Nursing Scholarship is $6,000 at the top spot. And again, these are renewable. So that's $6,000 per year on top of your merit scholarship. So Jesselyn, do you have anything to add in terms of scholarships or what applying for scholarships in that process was like for you?
Just a word of advice, definitely listen to Caitlin when she says start applying in October, because I waited till the absolute deadline to apply for all of my scholarships, and it was very stressful. And for the local scholarships that I applied to, I definitely didn't put, my best self forward in those applications. So just be sure to get them done and put some time and some heart into them.
Absolutely. So chat with Chris, chat with anyone in our admissions office in regards to the scholarships that we offer, but then also please check in with your school counseling folks and with your mom and dad and anyone really in your life. As I say, kind of shake all those money trees and see, where funding might be for you. As a personal example, my dad is a postal worker. So my sister and I were both eligible to apply for a Postal Workers Union scholarship. So there really is money out there for you if you go looking for it. And I can tell you over the years that I've been here at Viterbo, I've seen a lot of scholarships go unawarded because students didn't apply. So please do apply. At Viterbo in total, we do have over 450 scholarships, and that's just at Viterbo. So when you add that to those outside funds as well, you've got some good opportunity if you put in a little bit of work to get these scholarships moving forward. Chris, I'm going to have you go a slide forward for me. So talk a little bit about timelines. I don't know who might be viewing this presentation today, so we'll go through a kind of a junior and a senior year timeline for you. Obviously, the first checklist on this junior timeline is kind of a weird one right now. You might be seeing a variety of different visit opportunities. Obviously, these virtual opportunities like this that StriveScan is putting out is amazing. Please, please, please check out more of these presentations as you go through your college search process. But some campuses are allowing for on-campus visits too. So at Viterbo, we are open for in-person visits. We're doing both in-person and virtual visits. So if you want to find yourself on another awkward Zoom call with me and Chris or Jocelyn, you can sign up for that, or you can come see us in person as well. You'll see there's a little asterisk next to that signing up for the ACT or SAT. I know in Illinois, the SAT is generally what students take, but we also know that right now, testing is not really the first thing on people's minds, as it probably should not be during a pandemic. So again, Viterbo is test optional for both fall 2021 and 2022, and then we'll reevaluate at that point. But if you're finding yourself in a situation where you either cannot test or you can't retake a test, or maybe just testing is not your thing. We know that that's not the best indicator of success for students moving forward. It's what you've done in high school that really tells us if you're prepared for college. That's okay. Certainly a good junior year task. You just heard it from Jessalyn. Don't wait till the last second to work on your scholarship applications. So if you can start working on a personal statement, tell us about who you are and what you want to be when you grow up. And it doesn't have to be 100% set in stone either, but just let us know a little bit about you in that personal statement and why you're interested in Viterbo or the particular school that you're applying to. And then my number one piece of advice for you for junior year, and this is kind of a weird one when, many of you might be doing distance learning and it's certainly not ideal, but please, please, please keep your grades up. When you apply for admission next year as a rising senior, all we have is what has happened through your junior year. So it becomes really, really important to apply yourself and kind of keep your foot on the gas as you finish your senior or your junior and senior years, but especially for that junior year, and that's what we're using for admission. Chris, I'll have you go forward a slide. So seniors, if we have seniors watching our presentation, our application is open. It's been open since July 1st. That's when it opens every year. You can apply online and it is always free. So you don't have to worry about fee waivers. You don't have to worry about a particular free week or anything like that. It's always free. Set aside 25 to 30 minutes, fill it out in its entirety. Tell us all about yourself, what extracurriculars you've been involved in, athletics, things you're excited about at Viterbo. The more you can give us on that application, the more we know about you and the more we as counselors can connect you with the resources that might interest you here at Viterbo. One thing that is non-negotiable is we're always going to use your high school transcripts. So one thing that we've done to hopefully make this process a little easier is we are allowing unofficial documents. So if you apply for admission to Viterbo, you can actually send, if you have the ability to access a transcript via your high school's online system, send it straight to Chris and he can get it on to our enrollment operations folks. And we'll collect an official transcript later down the line. So you don't have to bog down school counselors right now with those extra requests if you have that access. Again, we're test optional. It's up to you if you would like to submit test scores. I think a really important message though is that you do not need test scores for scholarships at Viterbo. So that's something that I'm being asked frequently is, okay, I don't need to turn in my test scores for admission, but does that mean that I'm at a disadvantage when I'm playing for scholarships? No. So there might be the one scholarship that a donor has given us where they're being adamant about a particular test score, but we're doing our best to remove any of those barriers so that none of our scholarships have test scores as a requirement. So if that's a concern for you, it should not be. And if you have any concerns about whether you should or shouldn't submit test scores, you can just reach out to us in admissions. Again, visit us. If you visited us as a junior, visit us again. We're doing some creative things right now in terms of our visits. You can come on campus, take a tour, certainly see us in person. You may be able to meet with a faculty member in person, of course, adhering to those social distancing guidelines and masking guidelines. Attending a class might be virtual, or if it's a small enough class, and again, we can adhere to those safety measures, we may allow that. Look for in the future, once the pandemic has passed, if we've got younger students, the ability to stay overnight. Right now, that's going to be halted just simply because of the pandemic. But again, moving forward, that is something that we would normally offer. And then, file the FAFSA, apply for scholarships, submitting your housing contract and your deposits. Those are all things that we will continually kind of help you with, hold your hand through, and make sure that you're hitting those milestones as you need. So sometimes I see people, kind of writing down notes as quickly as they can while we have these slides up. And I think it's important to know that no matter where you're from or, you know, what part of the process you're in, there's someone like Chris or me at the institutions that you're applying for that is there to help you with this process. So always reach out if there are questions, and certainly it's our job, again, to remind you of those next pieces of the puzzle. Chris, I'll have you move forward. You know, kind of I guess our sign off message here is, again, to stay in touch with us. So if you're ever not sure of something or you have questions, I think, you know, one of the special things about Viterbo is, again, we really want to get to know you. So I want you to call me. I want you to send me an email, as does Chris. And our tour guides too are available to chat about what their experience is, if you have questions for them and what that actual lived experience is. A couple ways to get involved with us here on social media too. Certainly follow us at Viterbo Snaps, Viterbo University on Instagram. You can also go to Viterbo Bound on Instagram, which is going to be the specific admissions account. So a couple accounts to follow there. Like Jessalyn said, she's involved with the, I think you're calling yourselves the social squad, right? With Martha Bame. So the social squad does take over on Viterbo Snaps. So you can actually see, you know, kind of the day in the life of a particular student as well. So we'd invite you to connect with us in any way that you are wanting to do that. We'll meet you where you're at and help you get through this process. Jessalyn, Chris, do you guys have anything to add before we sign off the presentation?
No, I would just like to thank everyone for checking us out today. I know I'm really excited to get to work with you. And like Caitlin said, if you have any questions, please, please, please reach out. I'm more than happy to answer emails, texts, phone calls, you name it. Looking forward to getting to know you.
Fantastic. With that, I'm not seeing any questions. And I had someone in a different session call me the overlord when I was the facilitator. So our overlord will end our presentation today.
All right. Well, thank you all for spending the time to inform us all. I just want to make a shout out to everybody to go to IACAC.org so that way you can check out the full schedule and please sign up for more. IACAC.org is also where you will find the recorded sessions. So go learn a ton, whether it's about specific colleges or if it's just general college exploration information. Thank you to the three of you for spending your time with us today. Everybody have a great rest of your day.
Perfect. Thank you.